And I think one of the things that is most interesting about this project is that it's kind of a very palatable form of collaborative content, because believe it or not, this has quite a sort of strong wiki-ish type of structure underlying it, because as a user I can post something and publish the information that's related to it, so just the basic information you can see there about artists and location and so forth. But also, as a viewer, I can go along and add to the information. So, if I happen to know the name of the artist of this chair or whatever, great example. Let's go back to this one, because I've done this one. But if I happen to know some information about this, I can add information to it. So, if there's missing artists or artworks names and so forth, even though I'm not the poster of the information, I can also add tags to it. So, for example, in the way that you expect, really. So, I can, as well as what the users put there, I can put something else in. And whilst they have a right of veto, I still can add my interpretation and increase the sort of findability of stuff. So the whole thing becomes a big collaborative task, and there are all kinds of users that we see in here, and some of them are the types that go in and add the missing tags or the missing information, and other people are just up for a bit of acting and talk in some Irish sense, and having a bit of banter. So I think it represents, sort of, compared to something like, well, obviously something like Wikipedia, in terms of user friendliness of being able to sort of collaborate, it's a much more simple, transparent means of being able to complete information around these artworks and make a useful database. One of the other important dimensions to it, I think, is also one that I mentioned earlier, but it's just the fact that there's an interpretive element, because that turns the whole thing into a piece of sort of disguised or informal learning, because in deciding what to photograph, you have to make a conscious decision about what you consider to be public art. So there's a great deal of street art in this project, as you'd expect. And there's also, a kind of constituency of people who will say things, it's art, as I say it is. Providing they sort of make a decent argument for that, that's fine. So there's quite a sort of variety of what actually gets posted. The other thing that's quite interesting is, of course, there's an underlying legal definition about what public art is, and it's quite a sort of simple definition. It's basically about something that's permanent in a public space. But of course, this project throws up all sorts of problems around what exactly public art is, because I don't remember the copyright designs in Patent Act was done, but it was at least a good few years ago. And basically, things like graffiti throw up a problem, because just quite how permanent is a piece of graffiti. Even the stuff that's outside the South Bank there, I mean, I assume it's going to be taken away at some point, so technically it's not public art. It's going to be removed. The great show that was on at Hayward recently, the Gorman show, all of that stuff technically isn't public art, because it's all gone now. But we're not too, strict in our interpretation. And what that means in principle really is that it's a way of actually asking important questions around IPR and copyright in a no editorial content in this apart from what people put into it. And I think that's sort of indicative of the way things have been going over the last couple of years. And I'm glad that, looking back, it wasn't a sort of conscious thing, but looking back over the last 2.5 years' work, it's reflected in what I've been doing. This site, I would say, is very much designed for community, and that's one of the reasons I was really keen to work with Model. The origins of this project are that I saw a presentation of the Moblog technology a couple of years ago, and I was really kind of taken with it. I tried it out for a while myself, and I really enjoyed using it. And I found that it was really effective at linking up people. And there are a number of ways that it does this, and I think there's a lot to be learned from it. I mean, we've got loads of evolution to do on this site, but you can immediately sort of see the type of things that really encourage community are things like being able to see the latest comments on the homepage so that you know where all the action is going on, being able to see the most recently updated stuff, and in particular when you do go to any given work of art, being able to see who the recent visitors are so that you've got an opportunity to see who's interested in your stuff and what they do, and there's a very easy sort of friend mechanism so that you can link up with people on a regular basis with no difficulty, and I think that's really important. There's highlighting by the community, which I think is very important. It's a critical thing for sort of Web 2.0 really, is actually to recognise the rewards that people are after, and it goes a long way, just the recognition of being highlighted by the community. It's a big incentiviser, and I think it's common to most of the best Web 2 projects that people are sat and thought about what are the things that motivate people to come back and to participate. One of the things that really captures it for me, actually, that's been going on this week, I noticed this post here is by a guy that is the grandson of the sculptor of an Art Deco piece that was posted last week. And people were talking earlier on about the whole issue of connectivity. I'm just trying to find the grandfather's work, which I can't easily find out. But one of my colleagues up here was talking earlier on about connectivity, and I think it's that sort of thing that is the real sort of joy of this type of project. There he is. When you do get conversations that are meaningful and enjoyable, and where suddenly this piece of work that was done in 1940 and by a sculptor that was, that ended up in New Zealand, suddenly his forebears, who's also a practicing sculptor, comes out of the ether. It's those sort of connections that are the real kick, and you see a lot of it going on within the big art model. So just to round off, I would say one of the reasons I'm really excited by this project, and I have very high hopes for it, is I think it demonstrates the 4 key characteristics of the sort of media age that we're really just entering. There's this whole issue of on demand, and this is a sort of instant publishing platform. So I think that's one important element. The networked characteristic. I mean, this being networked both in terms of the way it's plugging into mobile technology, but also the way it's being used by niche communities that are interested in also the two-way characteristic. This is very much a conversation, both in terms of the sort of things that people post and also the kind of inline comments that feature in here. So people are able to talk in a whole range of registers, which varies from just out-and-out sort of banter to really deeply engaged stuff about the nature of public art and creativity. And it's also has this sort of fourth characteristic that I pull out, which is it's open. It's open in all sorts of ways. It's open in kind of partnerships that we're working with. So we're working with everyone from the sort of, all sorts of people from the Arts Council through Saatchi to various arts and disability groups. A really interesting network of partnerships. And the whole thing is a shared and collaborative task, so very much in line with the characteristics of the media age we're in. So I think I'll park it up there and be happy to answer any sort of questions that spin off out of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Shared online meta wiki user gen. I think that's more technical phrase than any technical design has used in one single presentation.